Welcome, everybody. Today, we're going to do part two of December's predictions and look at the transits. If you don't know what a transit is, it's where the planets are right now in the sky, real time. Okay. If you have any questions as you're watching the recording, put them in the comments below and we'll get back to you as soon as possible. This is for you to see the highlights of this month. If you don't already know me, I'm Ev Zervoudakis. I thank you for joining, and we're going to look right now on the ephemeris wheel. So here we have it, December 12th. We have lots going on, okay? The first thing that everyone's got their eyeballs on is Pluto right here, right at 0 degrees Aquarius, okay? But together with Pluto, we have the planet Venus. And Venus represents love, luxury items, food, money, okay? And it's together with Pluto. Pluto represents transformation, letting go of what we don't need. Isn't that interesting? So, across from these two energies, because they're working together, this is called a conjunction. Across, we have Mars, 5 degrees Leo. Mars just went retrograde, okay? So it's going to stay in this area for about 3 or 4 months, all right? So it will be opposing Pluto for a little bit. So what does that mean? First of all, if you guys have any planets, points in 0 to 10 degrees of a fixed sign, then you're going to feel it more than others. A fixed sign would be Aquarius, Leo, Taurus, Scorpio. Okay. So, that being said, it's going to be a tug of war action between transforming money, love, and action. It could even be aggression. If you see, too, that we had a quintile with Uranus in the sky in Taurus, it's interesting with a trine to Pluto as well, how there was a, a change in government or a revolution, rebellion in South Korea. So keep an eye on the news as far as the world news and rebellion, because Aquarius has to do with rebellion, and the ruler of Aquarius is Uranus. So that's even more emphasized rebellion and an awakening and scientific technology. Look at all the AI. The new Apple computers now come with AI. So you don't even have to go online for ChatGPT. It's embedded in the software program without being online. So we're going to see tons and tons of innovation in electronics, in software, in futuristic stuff, cars, medicine, you name it. And it's going warp speed because right here, the planet Uranus is very quick. And so is Mercury. But Mars is retrograde, and so is Mercury. So, of course, the update was done during a Mercury retrograde, and the update on the computer, the iOS with Mac, and a lot of us are having a time with it. So, but we got it straightened out. Anyhow, let's get back to the chart. So we have also the Chiron is in 19 degrees Aries. Aries is a cardinal sign, so anything between 15 to 24 degrees of a cardinal sign, which would be Aries, Cancer, Libra, and Capricorn, then you're going to feel it more than others. Okay. And what does Chiron represent? It represents healing.
It's 6 o'clock.
Right? So the healing is from wounds, from trauma. And Aries means the head, but it means me, self. So I feel that all of us, the world, is going in for a big self healing, especially when it comes to the way we think, our beliefs, and our values, our ethics, because of Jupiter in Gemini. You see how it has an opportunity. These little lines are aspects. So look in your chart and see if you have any planets that are around all these points that I'm speaking to. Now look at this here. Jupiter in Gemini is quintile to this here to the Mercury. So that's even more of an urgency or an obsession for righteousness, and this is a mutual reception. That's a astrology term, which means that the ruler of this sign here, Mercury, is in the sign of Jupiter's sign. So the ruler of Sagittarius is Jupiter, and then the ruler of Gemini is Mercury. So it's a mutual reception and it gives it strength. All right. So it's no wonder that the truth is all coming out through social media, though, because this is the big picture. So we're retrograde now. So people are processing this in their heads. When Mercury goes direct at the end of the month, I'll be curious to see how that's going to pan out. And then Jupiter will go direct as well later on. But the first one that's going to go direct will be Mercury. So remember, planets are always moving and they're always on a certain track. So they all have their own lane and they're all moving at their own speed. It's very important. It's all about cycles. Life is about cycles. That's why astrology works, because these energies, these influences affect the whole world, but it affects the person, their natal chart, and it also affects different countries because everybody has a horoscope chart. Whenever that country was born, like the United States was born July 4th, right? 1776. So this country is having a Pluto return on top of a Pluto Aquarius that we all share. So there are always layers and layers and layers of data with astrology. How deep you go, that's up to you. But we're looking at December now, and the next couple of years, 2025 and 2026, is going to be even more accelerated when it comes to speed, technology, and just time. And it's going to be lighter because we've had some rough years, especially with Pluto and Capricorn since 2008. So it's going to be a much lighter feeling. And let me know what you think in the comments. So we talked about the opposing Mars retrograde. We talked about the conjunction of Pluto with Venus, right? And it's also trine to Venus in Aquarius is trine to Uranus, and it's Uranus that it's trine, not Jupiter. So we made a boo-boo here. And trine means a flow, but it's a sesquiquadrate, which is a square and a half. It's like a square to Jupiter. So that means that there's going to be work and talk, thinking, teaching, training, all about transformation, money. And I wouldn't be surprised if we have one world bank, things like that. There will be changes in the financial world, all because of the way we communicate. Everything's online nowadays, in clouds. This is all Aquarius, Uranus type energy. Okay. Then we also have the quintile to Chiron. So this Pluto and Venus energy is divinely orchestrating our healing. Okay. Isn't that interesting that there's divine orchestration here in the natal chart? And in any chart, it's called a quintile, 72 degrees. So that's all done for us right here. And here's a shortcut if you want to look at it, if you know how to read a grid. That's another video that we're doing. It's also trining the south node and sextile the north node. Okay. So that means that there's opportunity for us to realize our purpose by all this letting go. And maybe this materialism, or maybe the food. You notice how the food has been recalled and people are talking about we got to make food healthy again. You see all the trends that are going on. It's all reflected in these planets. And the flow of energy is with these one-on-one relationships and the relationships that we had with the food in the past, and all the chemicals and stuff in the food. And what is represented like chemicals and poison? It's Neptune. And right here it's opposing, so it's like this opposite effect, you see. So we'll go to the next slide now. So Mercury goes direct on December 16th, okay? And December 16th, Mercury is opposing Jupiter. So Jupiter and Mercury are opposed, and it will continue to get tighter and tighter. What I mean is 6 is going to go to 7 to 8 to 9 and then up to 15. And when it hits 15, it will be exactly opposite, and that will be exact with no orbs. Orbs mean a difference, a margin, a buffer. Okay. It's also, Mercury is also trine, which is 120 degrees, Mars, right? And Mars is retrograde. So that's right here. So there's going to be a flow of energy, of action, for performing, love. Let's have fun. Let's entertain. Let's play. This is all Leo. Let's be the king. I'm the boss. This is the leadership qualities. And it's about humor, but a lot of action. It could be aggression too. And it could be a weapon. Mars is military, athletic, anything like that. Okay. So there's a flow of energy to this Mercury direct. So there's going to be a lot of talk, and it could be aggressive talk. And we're approaching the new year, and you know what happens in the new year? We set our intentions, we make our goals. We're going to go to the gym and all this other stuff. But also we have a new administration in the government, so that always gets a little riled up, okay? But Mars is going backwards. So this will go back 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0 degrees Leo, and then it will go 29 degrees Cancer, right? So it goes backwards. And then it won't be opposing Mercury, okay? So then Mercury is also squaring Saturn. All right, don't get shook up, you guys. But this square here is a red line. And whenever we have a square, that means there's work. And Saturn represents, it represents blocks, boundaries, structure, planning, realistic. It's like a stone wall. It's restriction. It's tightening the belt. It has to do with responsibility, duty, time, all that. And so if we just, without the signs, we just look at Mercury and Saturn, less talk or no thinking. It's more planning, but not outwardly, okay? Or maybe a physical plan, or maybe a lack of a plan, you see? So that's Saturn. And it's also work, okay? And we could drill down and say, well, what are we planning on? Maybe what's right, our ethics, our philosophy, our values, right? And it has a spiritual sense. This Pisces is the invisible world, things that the fantasy, film, things that we can't see. All right. It also could deal with Hollywood and the responsibility that we have to protect people from the abuse. Now, if we want to look at abuse, we would definitely look at Black Moon Lilith. And funny, but there's a trine from Saturn in Pisces to Black Moon Lilith in Scorpio, sexual, all right? These are negative emotions, abuse, trafficking, things like that. It's interesting, isn't it? So we also have Mercury sextile Pluto here. So that means a transformation in our truth, in our values, maybe our philosophy. I see a lot of that happening. We're trying to make medicine more accountable, the pharmaceutical companies more accountable. So that has to do with Sagittarius, of course, and Jupiter, because they have the same sort of energies. It's also trine the North Node. The North Node always represents our purpose. So North Node is here in Aries, and it's a purpose for us individually, for me, or our brain, our head, okay? Because it's Aries. And it's sextile the North Node. So if there's an angle to the North Node, it's going to have an angle relationship to the South Node, because the North Node and the South Node, as you all know, are always opposite one another. Most of the time they're retrograde too. All right. So the sextile, Mercury is sextile South Node, because we're familiar with these relationships. with society, one-on-one relationships, partnerships, with what's right, our values, higher education, and or travel. So we might be seeing some changes in travel. Of course, we're seeing changes in travel. Next slide. Now, if you don't know what the galactic center is, that is a point, and it's moving, but it's so slow. But right now, it's 27 degrees Sagittarius. So the galactic center is conjunct on December 18th to the sun. So this is a big opportunity here for the whole world, the universe, and it's squared the North Node again and the South Node. So because it's right in the middle, so it's like a T square, and that has to do with our purpose and what we need to let go of, the familiar past, people pleasing, that's Libra as well, and start focusing on ourselves. Also, it's trine Chiron, which has to do with the healing, and it's sextile Black Moon Lilith. So this is an opportunity for us to really get a grip on what's been happening with this human trafficking and how did all this even get this far. And I believe that it's going to come to an end. It's like a pendulum. We go one extreme this way, and then we go back to the middle, and then we'll go extreme the other way, and then back to the middle. So yeah, we had that sexual revolution when Pluto was in Scorpio, and so now Pluto's in Aquarius. So we know scientific, it's futuristic, it's knowledge, it's more cerebral. Okay, so that's the picture on the galactic center. If you have any questions, put them in the comments. Now at the end of the month, we have our second new moon. All right, so this month we had 2 new moons right here. The first of the month was hold on one second. So we have here, let's make sure that we're sharing. Yes. And we have the second new moon, and it's conjunct Mercury. And let me pause this until I get this straight, guys. So this new moon is conjunct Mercury. So there's new ideas. And if you haven't done your journaling, okay, you could use a guided by God journal, but talk to God when you journal, and set your intentions for this new moon in Capricorn. Okay. And it's a good thing to also think about your values and your truth, right? It's also the new moon. New moon, by definition, you see here, the sun and the moon are at the same degree. That is a new moon. And every month we have a new moon. This month we had 2. Next month, we're going to have the new moon will be in the sign that's after Capricorn, right? It'll be Aquarius. So it went from Sagittarius, which is here, then to Capricorn, then it will go to Aquarius, and then after that, Pisces. So whatever sun sign we're in, when it's a new moon, it will be the moon and sun of that sign coming up. It's trine Uranus, so that means there's a flow of insights, electrical energy right here from Uranus going straight to the moon and the sun. So if you have any great ideas, write them down. They're great ideas. And it's also an awakening. We're part of this awakening with Pluto in Aquarius. And it's all about electronics and new inventions and innovation. And just keep your eyes open. It also could mean earthquakes and sudden and unexpected news, especially with this ongoing Pluto relationship with Uranus over here. And that's going to stay for quite some time. They're doing the dance together, and they're going to stay together for a while. It's also square Black Moon Lilith. So that means we have some work to do with this dark energy of Black Moon Lilith, which is down here, and it's conjunct the South Node. Okay, but Black Moon Lilith represents the primitive feminine side, the dark emotions, pain, suffering. It's sinister, but it could be very empowering as well. It's the dark side, it's the hidden side, and it's the side that you may not even realize that you are the way that you are. That's Black Moon Lilith, the dark side of the moon. So so it could be positive, but it could be negative. And that's what all the planets and all the signs, they could take a positive or a negative tone. We also have it sextile, the moon and the sun is sextile Saturn. So that's an opportunity to find our spiritual and metaphysical responsibilities, to do something about it and make a plan. How are you going to be charitable, compassionate? What is your duty in that respect? And you might be talking about it, teaching about it, but definitely it's a new beginning, and you could start a new type of ritual too, in the spiritual sense, new prayers, things like that. And then the mystical rectangle, which is also very spiritual. You see, we have a big blue rectangle. A mystical rectangle has 2 trines and 2 sextiles. But what's involved with this mystical rectangle? Mars, the planet of action in Leo, let's have fun, and the South Node and Black Moon Lilith. So at whose expense are we going to have fun, right? And then Pluto, the transformation, and also Neptune and the North Node. Neptune, it's in its ruling sign, Pisces, so they have a double strength energy of spiritualism, compassionate. It's also victimhood. So keep your eyes open for the news on that front, but see how this affects your natal chart, because if any one of these points, 2 degrees Mars, Leo, 6 degrees Libra, 6 degrees Libra, and 1 degree Aquarius, and 1 degree Aries, anything like that in your chart, or even 27 degrees Pisces, you will definitely be feeling more than one thing. You're going to feel 4 things. And it's a mystical rectangle, which means that it is a divinely orchestrated scenario. So look out for the synchronicities that may be coming your way. All right. It's amazing, isn't it? And it has to do with this node here, the new moon as well. So there's a new moon plus the mystical rectangle here. All righty, in the background. So for those of you that want to understand a little bit more, what is an ephemeris? The ephemeris shows you where the positions are in the sky. So planet ingress, we're going to go from left to right and look at this area. Planet ingress, what does that mean? Planet goes into a new sign. So it'll be 0 degrees. Venus goes into Aquarius, 0 degrees, December 7th, 6:14 Greenwich Mean Time, or 1:14 Eastern Standard Time. The sun enters Capricorn on the 21st at 9:21, and in the United States, Eastern Standard Time, it'll be 4:21, and that will be AM, not PM, guys. And that is also the winter solstice, which is always when Capricorn, the sun goes into Capricorn. So the solstice, the summer solstice is in Cancer when it's 0 degrees Cancer. So it may not be on the 21st. It has to do when it is in the 0 degree position for those two. Okay. Then it shows here the moon phases. So this represents the new moon, 9 degrees Sagittarius, which was on December 1st. And here's a second new moon, December 30th. New moon, because it's dark, right? In 9 degrees Capricorn. And then it shows that it's conjunct the moon, that we all know that, and it's conjunct the moon here. But then the full moon will be on the 15th at 23 degrees Gemini, okay? And it doesn't last, but maybe 2 or 3 days before the 15th and 2 or 3 days after, but it peaks on the 15th. That's when it's exact. I hope you have enjoyed everything you learned, and we did finish the whole month in the second part. I appreciate you guys' indulgence while I maneuver all these screens with the Mercury retrograde. So we did it, guys. And let me know how the Mercury retrograde affected you this month. It was a doozy for me. And you know, I don't know what Apple was thinking to do an upgrade. I think they just want everybody to get a new computer. And they said to me, oh, you have a vintage computer, a vintage model. I go, I don't know if that's good or bad, but I sense that we need to get a new one. Yeah. So anyhow, but if you do get a new one, it's going to have all the AI in there. You have a wonderful night. If you want to take our classes, I still have a couple seats left. It's through Zoom and it's live. I'd love to see you there. And next month, I have a big surprise. We're going to have free get together on Zoom, and it will be the first Sunday of the month. And we will do that for all of my clients. Anyone that's ever had a reading, paid for a reading, taken a class, that is for that group only. So that's my way of giving back, so we could talk astrology for free and have some fun on a Sunday afternoon. I will keep you posted on the time. We're trying to coordinate that. Take care. All my love, you guys.